celebrating the power of possibility. Pilot Flying J and Halloran Hilton Hill present Anything is Possible. Today's guest, Hashemian, Part 1.
Welcome to another edition of Anything is Possible. My name is Halloran Hilton Hill, and for a long time we've been telling great stories about great people whose lives prove that anything is possible. And it's because, well, my great passion is to share stories of possibility. And why? Well, number one, I want to kind of see the universe with these stories of possibility so that when you watch, you might think of what's possible in your life and go after your dreams, because when people live their dreams, we all benefit from that. Dr. Hashemian is my guest today. Welcome to the broadcast.
Well, thank you.
First thing I thought when we were at an event together, and when you walked in, that suit you had on that night, I'm thinking, that is one sharp-dressed man.
Well,
and look at you today. You look fabulous.
It's not the same suit, though.
I know. Now, let me ask you that. I want to ask you about, and I know this is going to seem like a weird question, but you have a great sense of style and you like to dress well. Where does that come from?
It's a little bit cultural. You know, even when I went to school, to college, we dressed up. And we were in suit and tie almost every day.
Where was that?
I went to school in Iran. I got my bachelor's degree in physics and then came here to go to graduate school of nuclear engineering at UT.
What is the cultural significance of dressing well? Why? Where did that come from?
And where I come from, respect is the most important thing. I mean, you're always respectful of the older people, you're respectful of the environment, and part of the respect comes with how you dress for the occasion. So I even dress up when I go to the office most of the time, even when I have no guests or no visitors. In fact, for the first 20 years of our company, our dress code was suit and tie, but the engineers didn't want to do that. So we went casual, except when we have visitors. So when we have visitors, everybody is asked to dress up.
I remember my father, he liked to dress well. And I remember one time he was telling me why he dressed up all the time. And it was about respect. It was about respecting his craft. He was a minister. He said, I got more respect when I dressed up, and it was a difficult time in America. But then he said, I dressed up because I had to, so you can dress up because you want to.
Exactly.
And I thought, man, so that's why I noticed that there's something about it, that there's a significance to it, and I guess the core of it is respect. So then tell me about your parents, because if it was a cultural thing, I would imagine it's a family thing as well.
It is. My dad was a lawyer, so he had to dress up every day. He was a trial lawyer. He was a criminal defense lawyer. In fact, my daughter just got accepted to UT and several other schools to become a lawyer. I'm very happy about that. So my dad had to dress up every morning to go to work. So part of it comes from there as well.
Yeah, did you admire your dad? Is he still alive?
Very much so. My dad is buried here in Knoxville at Highland, and he died here in Knoxville 5 years ago. I really miss him every day.
So he got to see your success?
Part of it.
What did he think about it?
He was proud of me. He helped me a lot. My dad was my best mentor, best friend. He was a very fantastic dad. He did a lot of things dad don't do, but he got away with it. He had a lot of respect for my dad, even though, you know, he did the kind of things dad normally try not to do in front of their kids, but he managed to command a lot of respect and
like
love
what?
from
Like when you said
he
did...
smoked, he drank,
right.
He was a jokester, you know, it was funny. He actually had a short fuse sometimes. So all the things that...
So he was a man of great passion.
He was extremely passionate about what he did, very knowledgeable about almost everything. My dad was one of the most knowledgeable people. In fact, I wanted to become a lawyer, and he told me not to. He said, at the time when you grow up, technology is going to be the thing to be. So he encouraged me. I could have become a lawyer if I wanted to. He didn't force me not to, but he encouraged me to go after technology, which worked out for me.
Tell me about your mom.
My mom got married early in life. She had me before she was 20 years old, so my mom is not much older than me.
She's still alive?
She's still alive. In fact, I visited her a month ago. I was with her about 3 weeks. Great time. When I go to my mom, I take care of maintenance of her house, because when anything breaks, she doesn't fix it. So when I go there, even though I'm not good with my hands, I do a lot of stuff. I fix TVs, I fix light bulbs, I do maintenance for her. So I was there till about 2 weeks ago, taking care of my mom. She comes here and lives here part of the time, and she lives in Iran part of the time.
Wow. We're just getting into our conversation with Dr. Hashemian. This is a great story of possibility that you don't want to miss. We'll be back with more in a moment.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up.
I'm never satisfied with where I am. If I get up to here, I feel like, now if I'm here, I can go up here.
Welcome back to Anything is Possible. I'm Halloran Hilton Hill, and I got to tell you right now, I'm canceling my subscription to GQ magazine. I'm just going to come look at you every day, and I'll be up to date. Thank you for being here today.
Well, just don't come to my house, because I dress down pretty much at my house. So
I'm so happy to have you here on set today. When we were talking, we talked about dressing up as a matter of respect and you admiring your father and that he did a lot for you. And I noticed you got just a little bit choked up when you thought of him. What thought did you think that triggered that?
Well, my dad fell, and it went down from there. And I always felt like, what if he didn't fall? He would have been here another 10 years, and that would have been a very important 10 years, because a lot of good things has happened in my life in the last 10 years, and I wanted my dad to be here to see that. So that's what I choked up. I still choke up when I think of my dad. I really love and respect, and so does my brothers and sisters. We are all like that.
What do you think was the impact of his life on yours? Was it the fact that he imbued you with confidence, that you felt like he had your back?
Absolutely. My dad was a very courageous guy. He was afraid of nothing, and he took chances. He really would have been a great entrepreneur if he went into business for himself. And his courage was unlimited. You know, he never took no for an answer. If he wanted to go somewhere, fly somewhere, and he asked for a ticket to that place, and you say, well, the flight is full, he would say, what do you mean the flight is full? That did not mean anything to my dad.
Somebody needs to get off the plane.
And I'm like that too. When I ask to go somewhere and they say, well, there's no way to get there this afternoon, I don't take that for an answer, and I find a way. And believe it or not, most of the time you find a way and you get there. And he was always like that.
What a sentence! What a sentence! I find a way. So let me jump on that right there. You study physics in Iran. Why physics?
Because physics covers, for undergraduate, if you're going into technology, you learn all the basics in physics and math. So I studied physics because I wanted to get a general idea of what the technology is all about. And that really prepared me for the nuclear engineering degree that I got from the UT, and then on I went to other schools and did more. But that's why I studied physics.
All right, so you study physics, you come to the United States, and you study nuclear engineering?
Right.
Now, why nuclear engineering?
I studied nuclear engineering because when I came to the United States and Iran had a great relationship. And Iran was planning to build a lot of nuclear power plants. And they were looking for students like me to study nuclear engineering so that we can go and run those plants. Of course, that didn't happen because the government of Iran subsequently changed, and the nuclear power program was basically canceled. Iran does have a nuclear power plant, but just one now. So I didn't end up going back and work in the nuclear energy sector of Iran. I stayed here.
One of the most amazing things about you, though, is that you've got a lot of education, like a lot. So let's run through your degrees. Will you tell me the degrees that you have?
I have a Doctor of Engineering degree in electrical engineering.
So you have a Ph.D. in electrical engineering.
It's a Doctor of Engineering.
Doctor of
It's
Engineering.
different than
Okay.
Ph.D. I have a Ph.D. in nuclear engineering.
A Ph.D. in nuclear engineering.
And I have a Ph.D. in computer engineering. But I cannot operate my own cell phone. I have to ask my kids to do it. So.
What led you to get that much education, and what kind of intellect must you have to acquire that much
I actually
education?
did those after I started my business and I got going. So when I was about 50 years old, I decided that.
Whoa, time out. Wait. This is a layer of the story I had no idea about. You didn't start working on your PhDs until you were 50?
When I was 50, and the reason I did that is because we went to an event with one of my engineers from AMS. His name is Darrell Mitchell. And there they said that to get research grants, you're better if you have a PhD. So when we came out of that room, Darrell told me, Harsh, you need to go get your PhD because that's going to help us get research grants better than we do now. So that was all it took. So I applied to 3 schools, one of which in Texas, where I first started. And I couldn't do it at UT because at that time I was on the board of advisor at College of Engineering. It would have really looked awkward if I was also a student at night. So I decided I had to look for people who were in my field because it's very specific. And I found one professor that's very well known in our field, but he was in Sweden. So I contacted him, and I also was interested in this guy, professor, that happened to be in Canada. But these are the people around the world that know my field very well, and I had to find one of them. There are ones in UT, but as I said, I couldn't do it at UT. I could have, but I decided not to. So I applied for all 3, and I thought I'll do one of the 3, which one I like best. Well, I started on all 3, and I couldn't stop, so I get all 3. Took me about 10 years, but I got all 3 of them.
Wow. That's a layer I didn't know. I thought you got your PhDs early on, but it's really impressive that at 50 you made that decision to do that. Tell me about AMS. How did that get started?
I started AMS while I was a graduate student. I was working under a professor, Dr. Curlin, Tom Curlin. He and I, actually he was the one who thought of starting a company and commercializing what I was doing for my master's degree. So he invited me to start this business with him, AMS, and we went into business together. And after a few years, and we went through all the things small business people, no money, a lot of works, hard to find people to work for us because we didn't have anything to pay them, no benefits. But we made it through, and a few years later, he went on to become the department head of nuclear engineering, and I bought his share of the company from him. I was glad that he agreed to do that, and I went on my own. And this was in 1985. I got married a year later, and here I am, sitting in front of you.
What does AMS stand for?
It stands for Analysis and Measurement Services Corporation. And the reason we came up with that name is because it becomes AMS, which rhymes with ANS, which is the American Nuclear Society. This was Dr. Curlin's idea, so that's why we called it AMS.
Now I'm scrolling back to the impact of your father on your life, because in order to build a company and build a life, you have to have courage. And now I see why that was such a trigger for you, because you really borrow from the courage he put in you through DNA.
Absolutely.
Because you had to try things that hadn't been done.
Absolutely.
So when you first started the company, did you think that it would be as big in scope as it is now?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
In fact, I always think that you can do better. I was talking to Natalie earlier, and I told her, I'm never satisfied with where I am. If I get up to here, I feel like, no, if I'm here, I can go up here. And I expect the same thing from people that work with me, which makes it a little bit difficult sometimes because I push people and I push myself, and I'm never satisfied with where I am. I'm very happy to be where I am. I've always been happy. Even when the company didn't make any money, I was always very happy guy and very grateful to be where I was. I never felt I was doing bad.
Now, those are two important points that I want to lock in on when we come back. But see, that's so core to what I believe, that you have to believe. Like when I asked you, did you envision this? You didn't hesitate. You're like, yeah, I did, right?
Right.
I'll find a way, right? There is a way, which is essentially saying anything is possible.
I agree.
Yeah. Let's take a break. Man, I'm geeked up. I don't know if the camera guys and the people in the back and Natalie over there, are you having fun, by the way?
Absolutely, absolutely.
This is amazing. This is Anything is Possible. Back with more in a moment.
Coming up.
I expected everybody to work 20 hours a day like I did, and if they did, they didn't get any appreciation. I don't know why people worked for me as long as they did.
Welcome back to Anything is Possible. This is Dr. Hashemian. He is joining us on the broadcast. Thank you for being here today.
Of course.
We're going to get to your company and more of your life story. But I just feel like right now I want to thank you for your sense of humor.
What's that?
Because I've always believed you could hold really high standards and have fun at the same time. So we've got this incredible crew that we do this show with. We've been doing it for a long time. And one of the things that I love is we laugh and cry and celebrate, but everybody here tries to operate, at this high level. And I really like that about you, that you have such a warm, open, great sense of humor and great personality, but you also push. Where does the sense of humor come from?
From my dad. He was a real funny guy. I promised my wife I will be serious. As you know, when you and I got the Hall of Fame award, you gave a very serious and fantastic talk, but I was the clown. I was the comedian, and I promised my wife that I will be serious. Now, had I not promised
Let's have
her
fun,
that,
though.
we would have been laughing a lot more here today.
Why is humor so important to you? Because you said even when you were, if somebody else were looking on, they might say, you're doing bad. And you said, I never felt bad, even when we maybe were doing bad. Yeah. There's something to that spirit that I'm trying to get at.
I'm always happy. I'm always happy where I am. I'm not satisfied always where I am. I always want to get somewhere better or higher, wherever I am. But I'm always happy. And there's a difference, being happy and being satisfied. So I enjoy life, I really do. And I'm very grateful for everything that I have. And I've always been grateful, even when I was a struggling businessman. And I have gone through everything that entrepreneurs go,
Like what? What's the biggest struggle you went through?
I really don't feel like any of it was a struggle. Even though it was a struggle, it was always fun. I mean, we didn't have any money when we started the company. When we started it, we had very few. I don't know why those people worked for us, because we gave horrible salaries. We had no benefits. Everybody smoked. I expected everybody to work 20 hours a day like I did, and if they did, they didn't get any appreciation. I don't know why people worked for me as long as they did. But there was something there that was driving us, and that was the enthusiasm and the hope for the future. I always thought if you work hard enough, you'll make it.
What's the size of the company?
Well, we have about 100 people here in Knoxville and other places. And not all of them are full-time. Sometimes we hire people as consultants and all. If you put everybody together, we got about 100 people.
What kind of volume do you do as a business?
We are going up. We do about between $15 and $20 million worth of business a year.
But you saw that in the future anyway. You knew that was gonna.
I thought we will do a lot more than that. But we've always been profitable. The company has done very well, thanks to the people who work for us. We really have some. I was telling Natalie earlier that I think America has the best people in the world, and I think Tennessee has the best people of America, and I think my company has the best people of Tennessee.
Wow.
That's really true.
I mean, Doc, so I was studying, I've spent a lot of time studying wisdom literature, the life of King Solomon in particular. And there is an ancient proverb that says, "A merry heart doeth good like a medicine," or "A joyful heart is as good as a cure." And one writer was saying that teachers and doctors have to do their work with great joy, because when you do your work with joy, the student and the patient believe that they can do better. And maybe even in a rigorous environment like AMS, if the underlying, if the culture, if the leader has this kind of enthusiasm for the work and joy, because that doesn't mean we'll always be happy, but our baseline is we're working from a place of joy. Maybe that's why people work for you, work with you, have been around you, because joy produces hope.
I agree.
Okay, works for me then too. Why don't we take a break? When we come back, part 2 of our conversation, and I want to get more in depth about your business, but I also want to talk about America. I want to talk about what America means to you when we come back. You're watching Anything is Possible, part 2 next time.